Welcome back, everyone. My name is Ember, and we are continuing our One Piece journey today with Volume 13. First, change of scenery. I'm actually out of town right now, and I'm helping one of my friends move into a new house. So, a little change of scenery. I just set up in what's going to be his office. So, if you hear any noise or any interruptions, we're just gonna roll with it because there's like 8 people here. Anyway, Volume 13. This covers chapters 109 to 117. This is like near the end of Zoro's fight with the Baroque Works people, or it's continuing this fight, and then it goes all the way through Whiskey Peak and start into Little Garden, and it ends with Luffy about to square off with Dory. So, a lot of stuff to cover in this volume. I'm going to try and keep it brief just because there's so much individual stuff. The big overarching point with this one that I've noticed is there's a lot of very old-fashioned manly honor kind of stuff going on here. Like, that's really the big theme of this volume so far. Like, in particular, 2 major points. The first being where Luffy just picks a fight with Zoro because he thinks that Zoro just beat the shit out of the Cactus Island people for no reason, and he can't explain himself to Luffy. He just has to fight him for a bit, and felt a little forced. But in the end, it was mostly for comedic effect, so I'm okay with it. Yeah. And it led to some absolutely phenomenal spreads. Like, where is that one that I just saw? Like, Luffy thinks they keep getting interrupted by the new Baroque Works people that show up there on number 9, and like, I forgot what the other one's name is, but then we just get these fucking badass panels. Again, Oda's still fucking great at Impact. It looks so fucking good. But yeah, little bit forced. But again, it was mostly for comedy, so I'm okay with it. And the other big point about honor that sort of looped into this was with the giants in the Little Garden arc, where it's just this idea of how, because they live so long, an honorable death is much more important to them. Because their legacies live on for so much longer. So, interesting concept. I actually like these giants. I was very much surprised by how... I was very much expecting, like, oh, it's going to be your standard giant that eats people for no reason, or because they're giants, but they don't bother the Straw Hats at all. All the dead bones on the island are just sort of a red herring of it. It's just from people who have died from other beasts on the island because they just couldn't tough it out, because apparently it takes a whole year for the log post to log the magnetic field of that island. And then, of course, at the end of this volume, Dory thinks that Luffy tried to poison him or blow him up from the inside, and it being Luffy, he can't explain to the giant that it wasn't his fault. They have to fucking fight it out. So that's going to be really interesting, Luffy fighting an actual giant. Very much looking forward to that. And we got some more Usopp characterization. Was very surprised by that. He's really kind of infatuated with how these giants act, and it was cool. It was just kind of cool to see. Like, he wants to be more like them and live more honorably. So maybe he will someday. Maybe he will. Not quite there yet, but maybe. So that's the overarching thing that I wanted to hit with this volume. Aside from that, when I first started this volume, I thought the fight was getting a little too easy. Zoro was just chopping shit up left and right. But then the reveal that number 8 or whatever and Miss Wednesday aren't actually members of Baroque Works. They're actually from the Alabasta Kingdom. And so it kind of makes sense that they weren't really putting up as solid a fight as you would expect from a band of assassins. So, like, these, clearly they can't beat Baroque Works on their own, so obviously they wouldn't stand a chance against Zorro or anyone. So, yeah. So, like, in the moment, that chapter was feeling, those fights were feeling a little too easy, but looking back on them, it makes a lot more sense. But even still, the fights, again, are really well drawn. We're getting some more devil fruit flowers. I like I forgot what it was called. It was like the boom boom fruit or something. The guy makes explosion. The guy is Bakugo. He's Bakugo. So that was a fun power. Wish he had been around for a bit more, because he basically just got turned into the butt of a joke by Luffy and Zoro, and whoever his partner was, I forgot. I think she had a double. Right, she had the kilo fruit or whatever. She could like manipulate her weight. Again, really cool power. Wish she had been around a bit longer and just didn't immediately get her shit kicked in. So that's my only notable complaint with this volume, is sped through some of the villains a little too fast. They felt a little too disposable for how interesting some of their powers were. I know Explosion's not a hugely interesting power, but the weight one, that's pretty cool. Like, there's so much you could do with that. And it just kind of came and went. Maybe she'll show up later? Who knows? But I doubt it. But again, I can't really say I truly believe anything's going to happen. This story continues to surprise me. And so then we get the reveal with Wednesday actually being Vivi, the princess of the Alabasta Kingdom. And we're getting into some light politics. Baroque Works is instigating rebellions on their island in order to overthrow the government and take over. Very interesting. Me being a citizen of the U.S., that feels a little familiar to me. But yeah, I like the concept. It's a good start to this series of arcs for Baroque Works. Like, I know generally how Baroque Works is structured. It's got like a few small arcs, and then the Alabasta arc is fucking huge. So I'm interested to see how this is all going to lead into getting to Alabasta. And I like that it is a struggle to actually get there just navigation-wise. Still, this what do you call it? The log pose concept is really interesting and just makes for a unique way of navigating. Like, you have to spend a certain amount of time on an island in order to get to the next island. So you could say it's contrived, but I like it as a concept. Like, you literally can't just skip over islands. So it's also kind of a double-edged sword for Oda as well. Like, if it's not used right, it could come back to bite him, because he could just, well, then again, he could just say like, oh, it only takes 5 minutes to log this one, but then anything could happen in those 5 minutes. So interesting concept. Anyway, Vivi shows up. I already love Vivi. Just this absolute tough as nails girl, willing to fight for her kingdom, doing whatever it takes. And of course, but of course anyway. So yeah, looking forward to seeing more of her. And then the fucking, I forgot what his, Olivetti or whatever the whatever her assistant's name is, just immediately gets torched as soon as he tries to be a distraction, like a decoy. And God, this was a very, just the shading in these panels is just phenomenal. Just, it really lays into the raw emotion and anger and stuff there. And Vivi just really trying to hold it together. Like, you can fucking see, like, blood coming down her lip because she's biting it so hard, trying not to cry and let loose. And Nami's just like, we got you, girl. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do this for you. Even though initially Nami was being her little little thievy negotiator self, trying to get a whole billion berries out of the whole thing. But, yeah, very loving Vivi already. And apparently, then we have Miss All Sunday, who I believe is supposed to be Robin. I'm not entirely sure on that. I only did some brief Google searching, but I did not know she showed up this early in the story. I know nothing about Robin as a character, but I know she is definitely a fan favorite amongst a lot of people, so very interested to see, because if she starts out as like a pure villain like this, then it's going to be interesting to see how she eventually becomes part of the crew. Yeah, and she has some interesting powers that Oda seems to have purposely not explained. He's keeping that close to the chest. Very interested to see how that goes. Like her personality, she's just kind of taunting and just isn't putting up with people's shit. So like her, really like her. That's about it for Whiskey Peak, I think. And I already said everything that I have to say about Little Garden so far. I don't know how long Little Garden goes, but hopefully it's got a decent bit of meat left to it. Oda seems to be getting dinosaurs out of the way right away, so that's interesting. Yeah, some just having T-Rexes and Brontosaurus running around. Oh, last thing I noticed with this volume in general is just we're also starting to see like Luffy's crew, like they all respect each other a lot and they consider each other friends, but they're also all super potent personalities that just don't always get along. Sometimes they just butt heads, and I imagine that's going to happen a lot throughout this series. We saw that with the Luffy and Zoro fight, and we saw that a little bit on the Little Garden, where they just want to fucking have it out sometimes. So interesting to see that there's just going to be an undercurrent of sometimes you gotta fight shit out. I like it. Yeah. Overall, very good volume. Still very excited to see more. The brief tease of Crocodile as one of the 7 warlords. I don't even know what he looks like yet, but I've heard some good things about him, so I am excited. And that's about it for now. Be sure to like and subscribe. Might have an additional video coming today or tomorrow aside from the One Piece videos. Not sure. It is a podcasty kind of thing. I'm going to have to convince my friend to actually let me upload it. But that's it for now. My name is Ember, and I'll see you next time.